So I'm going to do a video on my real near-death experience. I never thought to do this, but there's a trending thing online of doing near-death experiences, and mine is quite different than other ones. Because there was some strange stuff that happened. It's not just I died on an operating table and came back to life. There's some very interesting things that will be in this that you'll just, I don't think you're going to believe it, but it's still true. So, again, I don't know if this is a vision or if this was something that actually happened, but I do remember going to heaven, and I do remember being rolled in a wave and my back breaking because I was body surfing at Ocean City, Maryland. My entire body got rolled over in a probably 7-foot wave, and it broke my back and twisted my neck, and it killed me. And I went to heaven, and I saw an aquamarine light, and God talked to me. He just talked to me, and I felt peace. It was a very deep peace, like the same peace that I felt when I used to imagine being in love with my imaginary friends. I had an imaginary girlfriend for a long time. She'd come in many different shapes and sizes. But I had an extremely good feeling of peace when I imagined her. It was just a profound peace. And this peace was what I felt in heaven. And I asked God, I said, well, you know, we were talking, there's like a next stage to heaven, because this is soul sleep where I was, and there's a next stage to heaven where I wanted to go there, but God said you can't go there, you don't have enough treasure. I said, well, I want to get treasure in heaven. So God said, okay. I said, I want to come back, and God said, and God made some stipulations. I said to God, I said, I want to make sure that no matter what, I go to heaven. No matter what, I return to my rest, which is what it says in one of the Psalms. Let me return to my rest. The terrors of hell have encompassed me, but let me return to my rest. Paraphrasing, it's actually separated verses. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that if I was coming back, that it was set in stone, I was going to heaven. And I just wanted to earn treasure. I just wanted to get treasure. So I wanted. So God said yes, and he told me some things that I'm not allowed to say. Like Paul said, there's some things that you're not allowed to say. It's a mystery. The espousal to Christ is a mystery. We're not supposed to know anything about that, but it is written in the scripture. We don't know what heaven's going to be. I don't, because I was just in the soul sleep, and I think God was there to do anything I wanted to do. Like if I wanted to climb Mount Everest, God would have let me climb Mount Everest. Anything I wanted to do, anything, and God would have let me have it. But see, here's the most important part. When you get to heaven, here's the most important part. Eat the feast. There will be a supper prepared for you. It's the supper of the Lamb's supper. And once you eat of that supper, once you taste of it, you cannot die. You cannot go to hell. You're there permanently. Now, I didn't eat of that supper, but I said to God, I said, no matter what, if I come back here to get treasure, make sure I go back to heaven. That was the only stipulation. No matter what Satan did to me, no matter what happened to me, no matter what things I went through, I wanted to make sure I went back to heaven. That was the most important part of our little stipulation. So when I came back, I came up out of the waves, and I could feel my body being put back in place. Like my broken back, my broken neck, it was literally being put back together as I was coming out of the waves. It was literally being put back together. Literally, like it was the most miraculous thing. This is what's different about other near-death experiences. There's no miracle involved with it. This one there was. I was literally put back together as I was coming out of the waves, and then I actually had strength to take my ex-girlfriend and her aunt's furniture back to the car. In a detail I almost missed, I actually, when I was coming out of the waves, saw a black shadow on the beach. I don't know if that was Satan watching me or something like that, but it was very scary. That was very scary. Okay, now I don't know if this was a vision. I had it while I was actually at another place in the waves, because I remember there was this one point where I kind of like came back to it and it was like kind of zoned out in a wave. So I don't know if this was a vision or if this was in the body. I don't know, like Paul says, but I do know that it happened. I do know it's real, and I do know I did go to heaven, and I saw heaven, and I saw heavenly peace. And I'm here to tell you that it's 100% real. God is 100% real. So that's just the fact. That's just the fact. So this may have been a vision of someone else. This may have been me. I don't know. But I made sure I made it very clear to him that I wanted to go back to heaven. So that's my near-death experience, and I know it's different, but I think it's an important lesson that this is the main thing to come away with. Though when you die, you go straight to God. You don't, I mean, you can sleep, like there's soul sleep. You can fall asleep and you'll dream, and God will resurrect you at the end and take you to heaven, which is what I wanted, was to store treasure in heaven. That's what I wanted, was to get friends and family and people and just minister the gospel, just keep pounding it pounding it, pounding it, pounding it. That's what I wanted to do. There's really no other thing for me to do, and that's all I wanted, was to save as many people as I possibly could, so I had treasure. Because, you know, obviously you get to heaven, you have lots of physical treasure. You have God, that's your greatest treasure. But I wanted to win souls and get them into heaven too. This time I was sleeping, and this time I went to hell. And what I saw in hell was well, first off, there was like a little Mario game, and I was playing it and collecting coins and collecting coins. And I think this was a metaphor that my dream was giving me. And then suddenly I collected coins and then I died. So basically life's not a game. If you think life is a game, you're going to hell, because life is not a game. And then I was sliding down a snake-like tube, and I ended up in a cavern, and there was a there. It looked very real, and I could see its muscles moving in its haunches, and it took out a spear and it pressed it against my solar plex, and it was about to take me into the caverns of hell. And I could see there was a sandstone like cavern, and it was licked with flames, and all I saw was that one demon. I think it was Beelzebub, but I don't know what it was. And it was about to take me down into the pits of hell. And the thing I remember most about it is that it had a face, like a very distinct face. And I cried out to the Lord, and the Lord spared me. As it says, like, you know, there's a verse in the Psalms, you had not caused my eyes to tear in hell. So, you know, and I felt the worst despair of my life in hell. In heaven, I felt the most peace. In hell, I felt the most despair. So, I don't know if in that particular case I died, or if it was just a dream. Maybe it was a little bit of both, but that was probably the worst. And let me put it this way, you don't want to go to hell. You really don't. Because I know in another experience of hell, I felt like I was rolled up into a ball. It was real tight, and I was just tossed around. And the thing, I didn't have any thoughts. It was just this constant unrest, which is what I think hell is. It's constant unrest. As it says, the grave is cruel. In the grave, there's no knowledge, there's no activity. It says a lot of things about the grave. And since there's no knowledge, I don't think you're really aware of what's going on, but you're just like this pure ball of suffering and consciousness. But there is a assurance that you're where you're supposed to be, which is the only comfort you get in hell, is that you're assured that you're where you're supposed to be. And I don't want anybody going there. So I started out with heaven. I'm going to end with hell, because I think the fear of God needs to be put in people, because all you have to do is confess the Lord. And I think if you have righteousness, you will continually confess the Lord, as the Lord will graven you upon his palm, like Zion. He will graven you upon his palm.